Hello, people of YouTube, and welcome to episode 26 of City Skylines in this here series where life cannot be paused. That was a little game rule we added to add some drama that ended up not really causing any drama because everything went a bit better than I expected it to go. That is very great. Episode 26, the very final episode of the season. As we can see this little plane here coming in, let's get a little bit closer to it. That's quite cute. Oh, and there's one taking off as well. This seems like a hazard. Will this be okay? Oh, he actually waits. That is a very steep descent right there. You're taking off. You're turning in there, I assume. That's quite good. Right, I have a few notes about things to do this very last episode, but first of all, right, you didn't just land and take right off again. I was mildly confused. Yes, first of all, after this series is finished, I'm going to continue the series on Twitch in a live format, because I think these ridiculously long episodes I've been making work much better in a live format than what I've been doing in the past. So, yes, this same city is going to continue for a little bit longer, and I'm going to do a bit more decorating, not so much more building, but largely decorating and fluffing the place up a little bit to make it look a tiny bit nicer than it does right now, although I am quite happy with the way it looks. Right, I have that's not true, I have 6 notes that I want to address this episode. Right, and that sort of stuttering right there is why live streams would go very well. Oh, goodbye, little plane. Have fun. Right, note number 1 is smaller farms spread out plus small wood groves, because the only farm we really have right now is this one here, which is just way too intensive, as we've established many a time in the past. So we need to redistribute all of this, as well as this industrial zone. That one over there I'm just sort of fine with because it's far out of the city, but I don't like this being a thick industrial zone. Maybe what's actually going to happen is that this is going to be yet another part of the city that just continues on this side. I have no idea. We'll see. He says after having said not so much more building. Right, second note is make road from Hawthorne go somewhere. This here in the corner is Hawthorne, this little village that we built sort of halfway through the series, I think. And it has a road, which is super lovely. The bit coming in from the city works and functions perfectly well. However, it also has a bit of an offshoot that goes in here and then kind of ends. I had a small industrial zone here, but that made this road very busy, so I kind of don't want to have that there anymore. This here may become a farm or whatever. I think this area here would work very well as a farm. So, yes, have that road go somewhere. Maybe do like a wood grove over there. Zoo with a fat exclamation mark. Right over here, we have our zoo, and we've, since we built this, unlocked a whole bunch of stuff that would make this zoo function a lot nicer. So we need to do some stuff with that, and we shall. Right, fourth point, second university campus, because our university is near capacity. Makes sense. Don't know where I want to build that yet, though. But we'll get to that. High schools in Sycamore, in brackets. This here is Sycamore, which doesn't have a high school. So basically up education all across the board is the directive there. And the last directive we have is decorative trees, which is super lovely. Right, so I think we have our task. We're not going to get to all of them, but we can at least start with zoo! Exclamation mark. And when I say it's a fat exclamation mark, I really mean it. So let's get out of cinematic view, and Jesus, that is quite good. Expenses are quite bad, though. Right, so let's make this zoo a whole lot nicer. Let's see what we can do about it. Park areas overview, is that any useful? No, it's not. Although I think Emerson Zoo is really overtaking Nerdington Beach in terms of visitors, slowly but surely. The beach is over there. I have gotten confused at the size of this city. This is relatively well populated, I think. It's quite good. There's quite a few people sort of around here in the parks and stuff. Doesn't super look like a beach, but works for me. I think that's okay. Right. This is functioning relatively well too. I added, since the last episode, some modded parking garages, which look awesome. They're just not very populated. The only bit that's slightly parked on is this here slab of tarmac, which bit sad, but it works. And otherwise, I think this airport looks quite good. Yeah, could be a bit more populated with buildings and sort of snaking roads as airports have, but for the time being, I think that's okay. Or, you know, a fence around the perimeter. We may get to that later in the decoration streams. Right. That was more than enough talking. We also have a death wave going on. Let's have a look here. So how large is our... That's industrial, commercial specializations. Paint park area. Okay, so we have a bit more space with Emerson Zoo. That is still called Emerson Zoo for some reason or another. First of all, let's kind of slightly trim that off there. That is quite good. And then people who live here probably don't want to live in the territory of a zoo either, so can just slightly chop that off. Nice. And then we can otherwise... Oh, it's getting dark. That is such a nuisance. But we can otherwise kind of extend the zoo over here as well. So what I may want to do is kind of completely overhaul everything. We're also losing money. That weekly income is going up and down like no one's business. We're gaining more people, though, after having lost quite a few, apparently. I haven't played this in a while, so can't exactly remember what our previous stats were. Right. Let's do this thing. Let's probably first just delete everything, to be very honest. Or at least... can we move all of these? Yeah, we can. Can I just kind of squish them anywhere? Yeah, I can do that as well. Right, everything ever has been deleted, which means it's time to put back in some roads. I put all of the attractions over here for the time being. Let's do some infrastructure for them, shall we? I'm going to make it a bit more boring than it was before, I think, just for the sake of making it a bit more functional. Which would mean that is a zoo cafe, which can sort of be in the back of the zoo. You are a souvenir shop, which can be sort of at the front of the zoo, right by the entrance, sort of thereabouts. I think that could be a good place for you. Are you inside this other building? You very much are, but that is perfectly okay. Also, someone has died by this entrance, and so they have here. Death wave galore. All of these people are leaving the zoo, I think, because there's nothing going on there right now. That's okay, though. Right, insect, amphibian, and reptile house. That feels like one of those things that should be close to the entrance as well. But just for reference, my only frame of reference for zoos is the zoo in a place called Emmen in the Netherlands, which had a recent renovation, but that renovation I have not visited yet. By recent, I mean like 5-6 years ago, if not longer. So my only reference is sort of a 50-year-old version of a zoo, which had a butterfly garden right by the entrance. So that's what I'm building off here. Insects, butterflies are insects as far as I'm aware, so we're gonna sort of have that sit right there. I think that is quite good. That's also just a super nice building. Maybe we can do something nicer with that, because that is what I wanted to do, of course. Right, so let's have that sit on sort of... Let's pull this back a little bit. That is too much. Do I have snapping enabled? Toggle snapping. Give me one single node and kind of put that down. There, excellent. Continuing on with paths. Like so. Pull that sort of 5-ish that way. 5-ish that way. I need to, of course, turn on roads anarchy. 5-ish that way. And a slight corner. 1, 2 you're going to do this? No, 1 is too little. 2, 2, roughly 2. 2, 2, roughly 2. That seems like a big 2. That's vaguely better. And then what we can do is have a path there. That should possibly just be a path without trees. Can I upgrade this? Can I not upgrade this path? There is no upgrade button. I'm going to delete this bit of path again and just upgrade it manually. There we go. This should now be moved to sit there, because it is an absolutely lovely building, although I did make this a bit wider than it needed to be. Right, let's extend out from here. I'm in the wrong tab, as I usually am. We're making a lot of money again. This is super fluctuant, but that's okay. Right, so let's now select a couple of nodes. Press M. 1, 2, 3. Is that enough? Yeah, I think so. Then we can have that sort of... I should probably untoggle snapping. I said untoggle snapping. Have that sit sort of thereabouts. I think that would be quite nice. And then you can kind of go slightly more in there. What do we think? I feel like that's quite lovely. Do we have a fountain? I feel like we should have a fountain. Possibly in parks as well somewhere. That's a sea life enclosure. We have so much stuff we haven't played with yet. At all. What's that? You're a park maintenance building. Park maintenance is a facility where the park maintenance vehicles are stored and maintained. The park maintenance vehicles travel around the city to boost the parks, increasing their entertainment value and radius. Oh, that's quite useful. I had no idea that that was a thing. Let's give the city one of these. And preferably somewhere relatively central as well. How about somewhere here, by the beach? By the university? Possibly just sort of here? How's that? I have no idea because it's dark, but I assume it'll work. That's going to be the assumption we operate under. How are they doing for water? They're perfect. Cool. Let's hope that does something. Right, back to Emerson Zoo. Yeah, I think that looks quite nice. Right, and then we can have a sort of path roam into that direction as well. Let's actually do that right away. So back into... No! I was looking for fountains. Nature Reserve. Nature Reserve? We don't have any of those either. They're probably quite nice to combine with a zoo. I assume you can do a lot of really nice things that way, sort of. Ordinary park. Surely there's a fountain somewhere in there. Park Plaza. Not quite what I was going for. Little gazebo. That may be quite nice. We could actually just sort of put a gazebo on the corner there. That's quite cute. Trampoline park may be quite fun in a regular or in a zoo as well. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's kind of cross-usable. Flower bed. That is quite lovely. We could have a few of those as well. Maybe that's a few too many, but... Let's have a look at that. Can we... Let's make that spacing a little bit more. Let's make that 15, possibly. How does that work out? Yeah, that works out quite well. I'd say without really knowing what I'm doing. Sort of like that-ish. Like this-ish. I want this to align a bit better than what I'm doing currently. How about we do it with small ones? Possibly. But I still want fewer. So how about something like that once again? Yeah, that works. Now we have some flower beds that are vaguely embedded into the ground because this place goes upwards. But at least the sun is coming up, so all is good. We have a gazebo, which is quite lovely and quite zoo-like, I think. Although should probably be slightly lower because people probably won't be able to get into the gazebo this way. Those stepping stones are a bit high up. Not optimal, but fine. From a distance, we won't be able to tell. Right, so what can we have next to the... what is this? Reptile house. Antelopes, no. Moose and reindeers, no. Bison enclosure, no. Birdhouse. Yes, that seems quite good. Can we have that sort of sitting... sort of on the end there? That is a serious no in terms of height. That's possibly better. Yeah, I think that's okay. And you just kind of appeared. Chirper mascot. That's cute, I suppose. Yeah, this is starting to go somewhere, which is good. And we can have the moose and reindeer enclosure. I actually quite like that sort of roughly in that area, but maybe not exactly there. More like this, possibly. And then the poor people of this neighborhood can listen to all of the moose and reindeer that are here. Possibly not great. But do I care? No, I do not. Right, so let's grab a path and pull that off into there. I've put back a little bit more stuff that I didn't quite have in use. Let's have a look at what else is on offer. So we have benches, which is quite nice. Lion enclosures, cool. Rhinos. Monkey palace, Jesus, that's a building and a half. Quite nice as well, though. What's this? Giraffes. That was the sea life enclosure. How big is that? Oh, damn, that's quite large. Shoreline required. That's probably not going to happen unless we build another zoo by the coast. Not in this city, I presume. Elephants. Quite cute. Flamingos. We have a lot of enclosures we haven't been able to use yet. Bisons. Antelopes. Birdhouse. Birdhouse we have. What's this? That's a reindeer enclosure. And we also have a plaza that I just have not used yet at all. So how about we just kind of squish a plaza in there? I feel like this is quite a decent place for it. Yeah, aside from the slight height issues we have going, I think that's a decent place. Yeah, and ultimately I just kind of want to populate this whole zoo situation a bit more. So, let's see, you walk in, and that is what you see. That is really lovely. You have this plaza here on your left. That can probably go down a little bit, because it's slightly insanely low at the moment. Yeah, something like that. It's certainly a bit better. It's not great, but I'll deal with it. We have the gazebo, we have the moose and reindeer up there, and then we have bison enclosure. Where the heck are we going to put the bisons? I suppose that this right here wouldn't be a terrible place for bisons. I'm not really going biome by biome here like I would do in, for example, Zoo Tycoon or something like that. That's another souvenir shop. They could have made a really good pun there, but they did not, sadly. So how is this supposed to clip? Can we just kind of have this sitting here? Sort of in the back. No, I don't really want that in the back. What about kind of just off to the side here? Because like I say, I kind of want this to be a bit more populated than it has been. So we can just kind of have that sitting there, possibly. That goes up quite bad, but we can cover that up with trees. There's also a path going around it, which is not super optimal. That's quite a cute sort of viewing area, though. That's really nicely made. I really like the assets in this game. Even the completely vanilla ones. Although, that's an expansion pack. I don't know if that counts as... Look at the bisons on the move. That's quite cute. I also don't really know what that sound was, but acceptable. Right, let's pull a path out of there into the bison enclosure. And as the zoo... And as And as the sun is coming up over New Nordington, we can have a look at the work we've just done. Very much more compact and populated. I quite like it. I quite like it a lot, actually. This especially this middle section here, it just works super well. I am also a big fan of these. They're technically bridges, but I really like the look of them, so I decided to just use some of them as elevated paths, like I would in Zoo Tycoon. Quite fun indeed. Right, so then all that's left is to fence it off and tree it up. That's a decent call to action, I think. Right, so let's start with the fences, which we can find here. Let's just go with the standard zoo fences. Let's not be too precise with these. What should we do? Should we have them connect right up to the elephant enclosure? No, I don't think so. I think what we should instead do is kind of have it go up to there and thereabouts. A little bit wonky, but we can fix that. Like so. It's not the nicest sort of fence corner we've ever seen in the world, but perfectly okay. Right, so draw along there, and from here I think we can kind of take it a little bit more flexible. Distance is too short. Okay, distance needs to be really quite long, apparently. One of the few slight annoyances about this game, that fences and similar structures need to be quite long to work in the first place. So let's go all the way up to sort of here along the railroad, and then feather it off into sort of thereabouts, I guess. And then we can have a straight fence along here. I think sort of this second line. That's actually clipping. I don't want that to, although I suppose it doesn't really matter. Yeah, we can have that clip to there. That is perfectly okay. Does that work here? Yes, that does work indeed. Right, so let's try and kind of smoothly make this swerve into, let's say there. That was not at all a corner. Why was you not a corner? There you go. That's slightly better. Can I make this do that slightly nicer? Yeah, I actually don't really like that. Let's delete this fence again and pull this as a sort of rounded off area into there. And from there we can go, I don't know exactly, along here, I suppose. And then kind of bend it back into there. That works. That's a decent perimeter, I think. Although now, obviously, I'm not a big fan of this, so let's try and chop that down. Because I want it to be a little bit rounder. So you can go to there, you can go up to thereabouts. Become a nice rounded off fence that actually sort of aligns into there. The same is something we can do over here. That really pulled back quite a lot. So let's go to there. Let's go up to roughly thereabouts. That may be a bit too far. No. Oh, come on. Something like that. And then align that up. Yes, there we go. That's excellent. And now all that's left, I just realized, is a bit of a fence along this way. Do we have it just right by the road? No, I don't think we do. What we can do is kind of pull a fence out of here, out of that corner, into roughly hereabouts. Have that subtly bend into there-ish. That's not exactly what I was going for, but it works as a starting point. Sort of vaguely there, I guess. And then get rid of M. Into there. That's almost nice. That's almost what I was going for. Sort of roughly like so, I guess. Yeah, I think that is more than acceptable right there. That is perfectly okay. And then we can have some shops or whatever the hell we want here. That is quite good. The very last thing I'd say I want to do here is just to add some decorative trees. So let's have a look at what most of these trees are. I mean, to begin with, a lot of these kind of nicely scattered along... Oh, these are quite cute. Just sort of scattered along the pathway, like so. Let's have a look, actually. Is that too close to each other? I think that may actually be quite okay. Just sort of there. That's really nice. I like that. I'm gonna do that to the other side as well. There you have it. That's quite cute. I'm gonna see if there's any other place I want to do that to as well. Yeah, possibly over here. That may work. Those noises are so off-putting. Right, so from there and then another little bit too... That's a bit too tight to the road. Yeah, roughly like that. That is quite nice. I think that's quite okay. Yeah, just fluffs the whole place up a little bit, makes it a bit more colorful, and I'm quite a fan of that. Now I would like to do some water here. That may be quite nice and pretty looking, but I don't think I actually can or should. We could, however, do another little row of these trees sort of along here, a kind of straight one. To just there? Yeah, that works. Just so that we have a little bit of variation in the trees around the park. And we could even do the same around here. No, I think that would be a bit too cluttered. Right, so for the rest... snow. That's a spoiler for an upcoming series. Linden trees. They're really pretty, I think. But possibly way too large. They're quite cute, though. They're not cute. Cute is not the right word for a linden tree. Right, we could do a couple of these sort of scattered around the back here. Right, have some of those around the back and then kind of fill it in with slightly lower trees. What about you? Would you match? What are you? Tree with leaves. Clearly. Right, so let's up the brush size to sort of this. And that may be a bit much, but I quite like it so far. Yeah, let's kind of just go up to there. Yeah, that's a little bit colorful. I quite like that. That's good. And then fill in the rest with some tightly knit shrubs. Now, what do you think of that? I think that looks really quite neat. If you look at it from a distance. If you look at it from too up close, you can see that there's nothing growing here, and I want to fix that. And nonsensical as it may be, I added a bit of a rock formation to the front of the zoo to give it a bit of life, I suppose. And yeah, this now really looks quite nice. I also added some commercial on this side. That's not called commercial in this game, is it? Is it? Yes, it is called commercial. I have no idea what I'm talking about anymore. What the hell is going on here? That's slightly glitchy, which I'd like to avoid. There we go. Much better. Yeah, so that is the zoo checked off. Right, for that education problem we've been having, elementary schools are doing shit, high schools are doing terribly, and universities are low as well. So, first of all, high school in... We have a high school here. That's... Or am I looking at elementary schools? No, high schools. Way too low. This is a high school, yeah, and this one's relatively small. So we can have a high school sitting... Where should we have one? Sort of right there? Possibly? No, that seems like a terrible place considering what kind of road that is. So how about instead we have it sitting here on the edge of town? That may be a decent place. Let's sort of just plonk it there. I'm sure that'll make a lot of people happy. It actually did, but just not these few poor bastards. Right, so that's a high school, but then we still have an education problem elsewhere. So let's have a further look. High schools. We have more people eligible than we have capacity, but we also don't have very big problems aside from right there. So I wonder what that eligibility means versus how many people there are actually educated. Well educated, 13%, but highly educated is almost 50%. That's ridiculous. But very good. And just educated is 24%. So if anything we could do, I feel like it's boosting primary schools a bit more to avoid complete uneducation. So let's have a look. Primary schools. We have a primary school here. Is that enough? It doesn't seem to be enough, but I'm gonna keep it that way because it's a small town. No one in here seems to be particularly uneducated either, aside from in this residential zone up here. So how about we add a primary school just sort of smack dab in the middle right there. That'll make those people rather happy, I hope. Then Hawthorne is okay, but these people may have a problem with high school education as well, because there simply is no high school. What kind of building are you? You are an elementary school. Let's not break you down for the sake of a high school. We could have one just sort of sitting here. I feel like that would be a relatively cool place for a high school. Just sort of on the edge of town. It will destroy these guys, but that's a taxi depot. It will destroy the Hawthorne residents. Oh no. I have no idea if that was the original Hawthorne residents. I don't feel like it is, but well, they're dead now. For the ones of you who don't know, I named Hawthorne after a building called the Hawthorne Residence. So it'd be a bit sad if that was the original one, but I don't think it is. I'm not 100% sure, though. Right. Otherwise, we've done a little bit about our education, added some high schools, added a single primary school, although I kind of want to add one more. Let's have a look. Where else could we do with a single other primary school? We have one here now, so that should do us quite well. And actually, our availability is not too terrible. How are things in the center? We don't really have anything covering this particular neighborhood and sort of this small stretch of low residential. So how about we have a primary school? Are you quite small or are you smaller? You're both equally large and slightly annoying. But what would the best place be? I suppose sort of in here, possibly. And let's hope that doesn't fuck with us too much. I don't think it will. Although it may just screw over the fancy boutique we have there. Yeah, I think that'll be okay. Those houses will be broken down automatically. That won't be a problem. Right, so that is our education slightly helped, at least. Not fixed, slightly assisted. All right, I'm currently laying the groundwork for some farming area. As you can see just very vaguely here, this is very fertile land, apparently. And it makes me want to do something with this this offshoot of the road we have right there. So what we have here is a nice median that is inspired by how the Netherlands tend to look. We have this sort of median all over the place. And yeah, I shall add the first farm building, which is the main farm building. And that can go right sort of there. Chester Grove, very cute. I'm not sure cute is the right word there, but it's fine. Right. Commercial, no, industrial. Do we do that from here? I have no idea how this works anymore. Right here, paint industry area. So from there we can go into sort of here and around into this area. I feel like this is already way larger than I want it to be. But sort of this as a start, I feel like that's okay. Something like that. Yeah, perfect. Great. Let's make that slightly smoother. And let's get building. So we have our main farm building right there. Additionally, we can have farm workers barracks. What are you? Farm maintenance building. That can go right, I suppose, sort of on that side. Will that fuck with that road? I have no idea. Let's have a look. Yes, that does fuck slightly with that road. Not great. How about we put it over there? Yeah, that's okay. Although I don't really like it there, so let's move it to sort of there very temporarily. We can see about it later. First off, though, farmers' barracks possibly, which are obviously not in there, but I always click the wrong tab first. No, that is not quite the way I want to orient you. I want to have a nice sort of road that you can be sat on, a dirt road, because why not? So something like that. Possibly something like that, although I think that may be slightly too close. Let's have a look, though. Wrong tab again. Can you sit there? Technically, no, but I'm gonna keep you there anyway. I can actually just move you slightly closer to there. I feel like that's possibly better. Cool. Next one then. Okay, that is some farmers' barracks. That works quite well, I think, although this one should possibly be a bit closer to the road still. And suddenly another building appears. The farmer's shed. Very good. Right. Water and electricity. Electricity is obvious in the form of a windmill, because it's a farm. You can go right there. I feel like that's actually a really good place for it. We've got that sorted out. Right. Warm water, because why not? We're a very luxurious farm and we have the money to spare. Can go right there. This should go though. Don't really need that anymore, and it's just sitting there wasting money. As are you. Very good. Right. The farm is technically speaking up and running, although we don't have anything that's actually being farmed, which is a minor oversight, I will happily admit. So what can we do about that? Let's have a look. First of all, roads. Let's make that go slightly. I feel like this is already a bit too fancy for a farm to have just concrete roads all over. I feel like that should be swapped to dirt roads from henceforth. But for the time being, I think it's a decent start. Right. These. What will we have? What will we sow here? That is actually really quite nice and kind of what I'm going for. Sort of the more independent farm rather than the hyper-industrial and oversized one. The only thing it's slightly lacking is a little bit of storage area in the form of presumably silos and that sort of thing. So let's first of all have a look at how this area is doing. Total profit is negative, which is not superb. Improved logistics. Hang on. This is a thing. Increase upkeep cost of industrial buildings by 10%. Improved safety work supervision. That's okay. Advanced automation. Increased production output. Increased building upkeep. No, that's okay. But for this area, I was thinking... Improved logistics. Yes, please. Thank you very much. Because we have a serious logistics problem there. So it's probably worth it. I have no idea how much this area is otherwise producing, though. Yeah, making a lot of profit. Actually, the entire profit of our city is dependent on that farm. Which is vaguely worrying, but fine. Right, so how's Chester Grove doing? Assume that'll get better as we produce more stuff. We have way more than enough workers, at least. How are we doing in terms of resources? That becomes better as well. I think the farm just becomes more efficient as it levels up too, which is that's relatively good. Sort of what we're going for. Maybe some walking paths from here to kind of the roads, I guess. Maybe nice. But otherwise, storage. Storage. Again, wrong tab. Perfectly okay. Silos. Flour mills, not really what I was going for, just grain silos. Large grain silo. Yeah, this area back here might be quite nice for that. So one there. And we can have a couple of small ones. Maybe sitting there. No, that doesn't really make sense. I feel like that large one right there does. Maybe a barn or two. I feel like that makes more sense. Wrong tab once again, obviously. Large barn. You're a small barn. And you're a fence. Right, so let's have a large barn sitting kind of right there. With yet another large silo next to it. Can we set you to anything? Balanced. Balanced is perfectly okay. And we can't see shit, but that is perfectly fine. I do feel like this shouldn't be called a grove, but a farm. Chester Farm is perfectly okay. Actually, let's call it, what was that called again? Hawthorn. Hawthorn. Farm. No, let's actually make that Hawthorn Independent. Hawthorn Independent Farm. Perfectly okay. I like it. And we're also almost already at level 3. We're producing so much shit with this farm. That's actually quite good. I assume that's only going to get more and more and more. Though these people do not have water. Mildly problematic. Let's just kind of drag that up to there. That's perfectly okay in case we want to expand, which I kind of don't. But for the time being, that is perfectly okay. And as the night has fallen over New Nerdington, so falls the night over this series. How very fucking poetic. But yeah, this was the last episode in this series in its current form on YouTube. Like I say, I will be doing more of these on Twitch, so if you haven't followed us on Twitch yet, do that. Twitch.com. No, that's not true. It's twitch.tv. Twitch.tv/nerdachievement_unlocked. It's very lovely indeed, and we stream regularly. Often. I was going to say fairly often, but then regularly came out, which we also do. We stream regularly. So, thank you ever so much for watching. Don't forget to push some of the positive buttons down below, and we shall see you in the next one. Ciao.